This is the Long Road to Gettysburg. It's Great Campaigns in the American Civil War module, which is available from the MMP website. We are currently looking at the situation at the end of June the 24th, which is the 16th term. Most important things that have happened here is the Confederate Army went into passive mode, so it could basically resupply all its units, and this has been done by a combination of drawing from the actual captured depot at Winchester for no expenditure because they were within 6x of the actual depot they've captured. The depot actually had 18 available points, which have been used by the 1st Corps, which was out of supply range. Another element of the 3rd Corps actually foraged. The thing about foraging, if you do that, it costs you fatigue because you're out looking for food, whereas if you're drawing off the depot's internal supplies, you can avoid that fatigue penalty. Similar down here, we had the cavalry units that were in a single force. They've split up into components to make it easier to move around, but they also did foraging as well to resupply themselves. Now the net effect of that is not a great deal. There's a couple of exhausted units still hanging around in the Confederate system, but they're pretty much okay, which they wouldn't have been if they hadn't captured that depot at Winchester. Now, Union forces in the Shenandoah are gradually pulling back, but there's a cavalry force here which is sort of hopefully trying to cover this demoralized force here that's trying desperately to get out of the way of the Confederate offensive. The big problem the Union have got this next go is the fact that they're going to have to go passive to supply their army, the Army of the Potomac over here. Now, admittedly, these units operating in Virginia, they don't actually consume supply as such. Not every unit does consume supply, some operate freely. That's just part of the game system. Union forces around Martinsburg are sort of building up some breastworks, and same around outside Harper's Ferry, but there's really, the Confederates push north, which they will do. There's nothing in the Shenandoah Valley that can possibly stop them. The Union forces are just going to have to get out of the way or get across the border into Maryland. The Army of Northern Virginia is continuing its move northwards. It's spread out all over the place, but it's not really a big problem as such. There's no chance of the Confederates intervening. Union cavalry is sort of shadowing the Confederate army just to the south of it. They ought to be on the watch for Confederate cavalry raiding units starting to tear at the Union supply line, which will happen as soon as they're into Pennsylvania and Maryland. We've got other units from the Union Division, Union Corps, 6th Corps, that have come by sea and are now starting to move by rail into Frederick East and Frederick West, hoping to deploy round here as a stopping force, but they've got to be careful. They don't want to get caught by the entire Confederate army before the rest of the Army of the Potomac can come up to support them. It's pretty unlikely, but they've got to be careful because Union are going passive this coming turn, and that's going to slow them up. and stop them from moving as they either forage or draw supply off railroads connected to their depot system. Other things that are happening is the Union Railroad construction regiments started repairing some of the damaged railway stations on the rail lines going into Pennsylvania. The Confederates have got total control of the Shenandoah Valley. That's because they own Winchester and Port. What's it called? Fort Front Royal, it's called. That just means that when they are foraging, they can be more effective at foraging because they have the control of the Shenandoah. Union still control the Potomac Valley. And that's pretty much all that I want to say. So, yeah, that'll do for the moment.